All right. Well, good morning, everyone. We have Sharif right here on the podcast. Good morning, Sharif.
Morning, Peter.
So today we want to talk about how people hate being sold to, but love buying, and how do we trigger a yes without pressure? So, Sharif, tell me a little bit about, I guess, your experiences on when you're speaking with people. What do you feel like they hate the most, and what have you done so far in your business to be able to get people's guard a little bit down?
I think people, what they hate the most, I think I'm guilty of it as well, is when someone tries to sell me. I really hate that. And it's an annoying part of the process, I think. But what we've done is try to smoothen it out a little bit and really dig in deep to what the problems are. And I tell my team all the time, we're problem solvers, right? We provide solutions. And you really need to talk to people. So instead of selling them, talk to them, right? And I think that's what's really helping us and really just breaking it down, within the first like 10 to 15 seconds of a conversation while talking to someone, we're trying to make them laugh. Right. To loosen up the situation, I think that's a good tactic that we've used on our side and try to bond because, you got to build that trust factor with people. So when it comes down to it, we try to, build that and then try to dive in into what their goals, why they actually contacted us. What is it that they need help with? Because in reality, if they could have done it themselves, they would have done it themselves, but they need help, right? So they contacted us in one form or another. So that's really what it is, Peter, is really focusing on that and just the end goals of our customers and trying to remember that rather than trying to list a property or sell a home, right? That all comes as part of trying to help people. But if you focus on that part of it, that makes it a lot easier.
No, I 100% agree. And I think most humans, like especially the ones that have their guard up from salespeople, they want to feel like they are in control or they come up with the decision themselves, right? So I totally agree with you. Like we tend to ask a lot of questions that will lead them into an answer where they can actually self understand where they want to go to or what kind of problems they're facing right now. For example, if it's a buyer or a seller, like, okay, tell us a little bit about what have you tried so far till now to find a home that you're looking for, or what have you tried so far to get your home sold, right? And then what problems are you facing? And like now when they're telling us that without us telling us, hey, you probably need a real estate agent because this and that, and this is why you need to work with me, and this and that, right?
Yeah.
And you're vomiting all that stuff. Like it doesn't work, right? Like people will obviously trigger. This is all triggering. Like, oh, sales, sales, sales. Like I don't want to deal with you. Like you're just telling me everything that I want to hear, right?
No,
So
and you're right. You got to let them feel like they're in the driver's seat as well. I hone down on that on every meeting, basically, and I let them know you're still the driver. I'm just a navigation system, right? I'm going to point you in the right direction. I'm going to tell you about the options, different routes we can go, and what the possibilities of those routes are. But you got to make the decision, right? You're the one that's driving the actual transaction. We're just navigating it for you, right? And we want to take you to your destination. So you got to have the destination in mind and you got to talk to them about that because that's where they want to go. When you get into the car, you have a destination to go to, right? So you want to focus on that because you want to get to that. So that's what we want to do with our clients as well is focus on their destination, not really ours, right? So when we're selling ourselves, we're thinking about our destinations instead of who we should be serving, which is our clients. So focusing on that and asking the right questions. I know you like to do it as well, and just isolating what they're objecting, right? And trying to hone down on that and seeing if we can get to their destination if we eliminate that issue they're having at that point.
no, 100%. And I always like to come from a place of curiosity, right? Like just out of curiosity, tell me where you want to go or what's holding you back from making a decision sooner. If let's say they want to wait 3 to 6 months or they want to wait until the end of the year to buy or sell a house, just out of curiosity, what's important to you about waiting 3 to 6 months from now? It's not like I'm gonna come here and tell them, convince them that it's the best time to buy and sell right now without really understanding what's holding them back from making that decision, right? And this is what we need to do as agents because just like you said, we're problem solvers. Like they may think that something that is not accurate, and then we're here to come up with the solution or provide them with the right information. And from there, we're building trust. And just like you said, comes down to trust. Like, how do you get the person in front of you to trust working with you or trust working with that sales agent? And a lot of it comes from like, they feel like they're connected to them. And this person is really cares about me and cares about my financial situation or, this is going to be the most expensive decision I probably will make in my lifetime. I want somebody that I can partner up with. And this is what I use a lot when I meet with someone. And I tell them, we're partners in this journey, right? Like, I'm aligned with your end goal, just like you want to get there, right? And we're going to work on this together as partners. And then I want to make sure that I can help you along the way. And I'm sure you do the same thing, Sharif, right?
Oh, of course. I mean, that's really how I try to run our business and let them, like, our customers know and our clients know that basically you're the one that's in control. But I'm here with you, right? It's definitely a partnership, like you said. And the fact of the matter is, you got to guide them, right? And you got to feel like you're in their corner no matter what. I feel like agents also try to, close it too soon or oversell it. And the fact of the matter is, like, that's killing it. That's killing it right there because you're not building that trust. It's, CTA, right, Peter? It's a curiosity, trust, and then action, correct? So really, you gotta build on that trust. That curiosity is what builds on that trust, right? Then you take the action, but you'll know when that trust is there because you'll have a bonding moment with your client too. You start to understand what their true goals are and how you can guide them to the actual destination that they're getting to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's also like one of the things that helps build trust too is asking them good questions like we were talking about, and then sharing other clients that we've helped in their shoes, or if it's a buyer or a seller, like, hey, can I share with you an exact example of a buyer or seller that was in your situation and how we helped them navigate that situation, right? Like, if it, like we've dealt with people that are in pre foreclosure, right? And then they have no clue what to do. Like, I've spoken to a few of them last week. Like, this is we work with an attorney that can help you through this process. We can actually get you some money from your home before you lose it altogether to the bank. We can try to negotiate an extension before you get foreclosed on or whatever it is. And these are sensitive topics, right? So not too many people want to even tell you that. Like, I went on a listing appointment the other day, and it was like, you can tell from the tax record that there's a foreclosure on it. And just by putting their guard on it, like, hey, I'm here to help you through the situation. Tell me, are you behind on your mortgage at all? And if it is, it's okay. You can trust me. Like, I'm here to help you. And they're like, as a matter of fact, yes. And you can tell their tone just goes down. And they're obviously sometimes they're a little ashamed about it. But hey, that's not a problem. Like, we've helped other people just like yourself, and we're able to get them out of the situation and get them to walk away with some money in their pocket, right? And then we
Yeah,
talk about the next
exactly.
steps, right?
Yeah, yeah. Make them feel like they're not alone, and you're not the only one that has been through this, right? And we've helped others through the same. Like, you're not alone. So getting over that, it's like a psychological factor, and really, it comes down to your presentation and how you communicate with them at the time of that face to face, right? And you really want to mirror them, make sure that, you're repeating what they're saying to you. It's really crucial because you want them to feel like you understand, you're listening to them, and people really need that at that point. But in reality, it's for all our clients anyway. People generally want to be heard out, right? So you got to hear them out, and it's really that curious part, right? And you're building trust with them, and it's you just do that through different ways of just making sure that you connect with the person. And one great way is definitely mirroring.
Yeah. And I guess, how do you deal with objections, Sharif? What have you found the best way to come over objections, either if it's either on the phone or in person? I know you mentioned mirroring and matching a little bit. What else do you do?
I mean, I like to try to isolate the actual objection itself, just to understand. And my consistent line is like, well, if it wasn't for this right here, would you want to list your property at that point? Right? Like, end goal, right? If it wasn't for this right here, did you want to transition to Florida? Right? So you're trying to figure out what it is, because an objection necessarily, it's not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing because you're getting closer to them making a decision, and all they have is an objection, is a question, right? It's something that they need to get past, right, in order to get to their end goal. So focusing on that, just making sure you isolate that, and then using the technique of saying, okay, well, if you can get past it, if we actually fix this right now or figure out a solution, we'd be able to get past it. And then talking to them about what it is. Because 9 times out of 10, it's really not complicated, right? It's something that they've processing over and over again in their head, and they think that it's a bigger deal that it could be. Like, oh well, I don't have a place to go to, so I can't sell right now. Well, that's great. let me tell you about the solutions on that. But if you found a place or you didn't have an issue with that, would you be listing your property at this point? Yeah. Okay. Well, let's figure out what it is. Did you know there's options for you? And then talk to them about the options, use an occupancy and then rent back. And then also, delaying closing or, just different avenues of ways that you can solve the problem for them so they can get over that objection and then move on to the next thing.
Yeah, no, I love that. And as a matter of fact, I had a similar situation like this yesterday. And originally they don't want to move out till the fall, November. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
right.
yeah, and because they're moving out, they're moving back to their country, right? So they're moving back and they're waiting on retirement, and essentially they wanted to retire sometime in end of the September and all that. And I'm like, okay, that's totally fine. I can definitely work with you on that, but just let me ask you this one question: Are you okay if you lose out on maybe 25 to $50,000 if you sell in the fall versus selling now, because everybody's looking to make a move now? Would you consider maybe we can do the use and occupancy, we can do a contingency sale, but if we can get you a really good offer, and then at the end of the day you move out before the school year starts, and maybe live in like a temporary rental, and you gain 25 to $50,000 more than selling in the fall, would you even consider that? Would that be even an option? They were like, yeah, we would consider that. I'm like,
Cool.
okay, great,
Yeah.
so let's work on
$25 to
that.
$50,000 is a lot of money, Peter. Like, it's okay. My line to that, I've had multiple clients Airbnb it for that transition period, right? And it's not going to cost you as much as you could be making on the property. And going back to, right, having other clients that have done as well, because I really have other clients that have done that. But even if you haven't had that situation, you're having conversations with other people, and you could say, I know of another, transaction that, happened, and this is what happened, blah, blah, blah. That's why a power of a team comes into that as well, because now the whole team can share its transactions together as what the team has done. So that always relating it back, and it comes down to always making sure that you're making that person comfortable, and you're building that trust, and you can only do that through these type of scenarios, and really removing those objections themselves.
Absolutely. And it's not like I lied at all. I mean, this is really true because everybody's looking during this time from, April till July. I would say this is where most buyers are going to make their transition. Actually, because, last week, the month before school, a lot of times people go on vacations and they want to make the move right before the school starts. So they're settled in and then they start their school years, especially if it's a home that is big enough for a family. And this home specifically was right across the street from the school. So of course this is gonna attract a lot of people that want to be in that school. And I'm like, guys, like, and just like you said, I provided them with the Airbnb option. And I'm like, even if the rental is gonna cost you $3,000 a month for short term, you're still so far ahead because you're gonna make 25 to $50,000 more. So what's an extra what's $6,000 in rent? We might even have to avoid that, but again, like you said, coming
But
up with
there's different options. It's not the only thing anyway. So, I mean, you got to hone in on that. And it really depends on the situation. Every transaction is different. Every seller has different needs. And this is what we need to try to negotiate on your behalf, right? You're the advocate. And, just bringing just different solutions back to the table that they may not have been aware of. As prevalent as it is right now, a lot of people don't know about use and occupancy for some odd reason, right? They might have heard of it, but didn't even think it was an actual thing or if it's even possible. But it's a big thing, and it's a great tool, and it's a lot of what the objections are today. You said you just encountered it yesterday, Peter. I mean, we do it on a daily basis, and people are worried, and that's why I lead with when I'm in a listing appointment, one of my first questions is, where are you going? Right? I want to know, I don't want to leave you homeless. Of course, but where are you going? Right? Do we want to transition to that? And again, have the end goal in mind, and don't try to push yourself or be too salesy during the process of it.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you have to wait, like, and that's okay. A lot of it is going to be a follow-up game, but you cannot try to be so salesy and try to just close a listing just to close the listing if it doesn't make sense for them or both parties. But sometimes you just have to provide a different perspective of view that they weren't aware of, like the situation I was just telling you guys about. And in this specific scenario, like, it's more beneficial for them to do it sooner than waiting. But sometimes you can't, and that's okay. It's a follow-up game from there. And at least you got to meet them face to face. You're not just talking to them on the phone. And from there, you're building that trust over time. You're staying on top of mind. As long as you continue to follow up, and this is the key part here, because most realtors drop the ball on the follow up part of it, you should be able to have like a pretty good chance. And just remember, like when you're in real estate, you're selling yourself. You're getting people to trust you, so they can work with you. They gotta feel like you're the right person for the job. It's not like you're trying to sell them any products, or you're not selling them a house. Like you're selling them yourself. They gotta work with you. They gotta feel like they're comfortable working with you, not like, hey, I just gotta shove down a house down her throat just because I want a commission. This is not the and I tell people, and especially specifically this agent, I'm sorry, the client, they had done multiple transactions before, and they were telling me about all these experiences with other agents that they felt like all they cared about was the commission, and they felt like they didn't do the right thing for them. And like there were situations where like they were being too pushy, just like what you were saying. And this is why we don't want to be like that. We want to make sure that we're doing the right thing for the client overall.
I totally hear that. I mean, and really, it's about also not being pushy, right? And using the soft close rather than hard closing people too. And letting them know, like, just based on everything that we talked about right now, do you think this would be something you want to move forward with? Soft closing them, not, hey, sign here. Well, the next steps are we need to do this. Try to again have them make the decision, right? So, and they're the ones that are actually answering the question at that point, and they're the ones that are coming up with the idea of it. So, but really, that's what we should be doing, is really just guiding people, not making decisions for people. So, just guiding them, just out of our experience of what we've seen other people do, and always bringing it back and relating to that.
Yeah, hard closing is it puts a lot of pressure on the person in front of you. And that usually triggers the defense mechanism, right? Where people gets just very defensive. And we obviously don't it's very hard when because if somebody gets defensive, like they're pretty much they shut down everything else. Like, I don't want to hear anything you want to say. I'm done talking to you. That's it. Like, I'm not ready right now, and this is it, right? This is when somebody gets defensive. But we want to try to, as much as possible, stay like you said, have the soft closes, understand where they're coming from, and try to help provide them a solution so they're open to hearing what we have to say versus just completely shut off. And if we get really good at that, or agents get really good at that, you'll have a much better conversion overall, especially on the phone, right? Like it's very tough. We can't sell anything over the phone in our industry. So all we're trying to do is just get in front of them and get to meet with them face to face. And now from there, we're providing them with value. And we all have to start leading with value if you're not doing that already, right? So I guess, Sharif, like, what are some of the value propositions that you provide either to buyers or sellers just to kind of feel like they get that wow feeling when they meet you the first time?
I mean, it really comes down to hearing them out. That's first of all, and not battling them. And you said it yourself, like, they're going to get defensive at some point and not doing that. So hearing them out and just asking them, can you share what's on your mind, right? I think just digging into the situation in itself is a value proposition, because you're really understanding what their mindset is, why they're moving, why they need to sell, why they need to buy. You need to dive into that. But the whole slew of things, I mean, Peter, we go into, like, how to protect our clients, how we're net dollar specialists, and we protect their bottom line, and the different things that we do that other agents might not do. Maybe in some, markets, maybe not in a seller's market, but in a balanced market, in a buyer's market, doing a pre-listing inspection, and understanding what's wrong with the property, doing different things like an Oprah request we do on every property, so that we prepare for things for our clients. Right. So we're still bringing experience of other transactions. We have a team of people, right? It's not just me. That's another value proposition. Transaction coordinator, admins on staff, in-house marketing. These are different things that we're offering our clients, and things that we have as a team that we've built. Right. Even down to the CRM system. I mean, that's customized to us. And I show them, their transition through our CRM system as well. So they understand how we react to anyone that contacts us on their property. So, those are different things that we share along the way. And I think different value propositions that we offer.
Yeah, no, I love that. We do something very similar. And I mean, you mentioned it, but it's pretty much, I think it's every client is different. And we want to ask them, like, we want to find out what is it that they're going through, and then tailor the value proposition specifically to their situation, right? Like we mentioned previously, okay, pre-foreclosure situation or short sale situation, our value proposition is that we've done this before and we will have a really good attorney that can get you out of that problem without you having to work with an investor that's going to pretty much try to make money out of your, the equity that you have or whatever that case is. And then if it's somebody that wants to stay in the house for a little bit, like yes, we've done this before. And most of the time, it's only and also the marketing channels and the exposure that we do, and all of the things that we'll get their house exposed on. We go over that. So our value there is by being on all these different platforms, circle prospecting, sending out postcards, and everything else, like leveraging the team a lot, like you said. You're not only getting me, you're getting let's say like 20 other agents on the team for the price of one. They're all going to be reaching out and prospecting about your listing, bringing in the buyers that they have to potentially see if they would be interested in your listing. So you're getting over 20 agents that are working for you now, not just one person, right? So
Definitely.
yeah, it's a lot.
Definitely. But I mean, that's really what it comes down to. I mean, you don't want to oversell it. You don't want to be too pushy or too salesy. You want to show your value and offer, even I've offered just to, help people that are selling their house on their own, right? Because the fact of the matter is, it's a big process. And when you start to go through it, they might start to ask you for more help and then decide at that point, maybe they should just contract you, right? It's really, you got to just go there with value oriented mentality and just provide to people. That's I mean, we do it on a daily basis. Just give it all away, right? And just try to help people. And once you have that mindset, it makes everything else a lot easier.
And I'm sure you have that call with the for sale by owner, for example, and you just call them and tell them, "Hey, I just want to help you sell it on your own." That's already a pattern interrupt, right? Like nobody told me this before. Like, what do you mean you want to offer me this, and that? Like, are you sure? Like, this is already different than anyone else that's doing that. So I think again, you got to set yourself apart. You got to think of ways to be different, and it's called the unique value proposition, right? It has to be unique to you, unique to the client that you're working with. It's not,
Yeah.
you know, a template that will all size fits all, right? It's not going to work like that. Every market is different. Every situation is different. Every agent is different. Some agents might not be able to provide some of the things you provide, Sharif, right? Like because you have different tools and they might not have access to. So it's not like, hey, let me just copy and paste what Sharif is doing and then just make it fit with every
No.
client. It doesn't work like that.
No, and I tell people, like, I'm a former IT person. I used to own a marketing company. Like, that's a value that I bring as well, right? So I understand the technology and the digital side of things very, very well. So that's something that I do relay, and I let them know. I know that maybe, most of the time they don't get it, but I let them know how it works, right? So that they get comfortable with it. Because again, we're trying to build that trust, right? So, so you definitely want to build the curiosity in the beginning. Ask those intuitive questions, and then to build that trust, because now when you ask those questions, you're going to be talking about, the end game, the solutions along the way, and then we transact with the people. That's when it comes after that. Just don't be too pushy or salesy during the process of it.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it. I mean, if you guys didn't get anything out of this podcast, that last line alone is gold, right? Don't be pushy or too salesy. Please find ways to be more creative, really care and build trust with your clients, and this is how you win more clients over time. And just remember, if you're only transactional minded with this business, you're not going to be in this business for a very long time. You got to be relational. You got to think long term, and the only way to think long term and stay in the business long term is to consistently do good for your clients, that they refer you to other people and they want to use you again. But if you're only transactional, you guys know, like, the lead cost just keeps going up and up, and it's like going to be impossible to continue to purchase leads to and be profitable in this business. So the only way to really make this business sustain long term is to get more referrals and have multiple clients use you over and over again. Any last thoughts, Sharif, before we end today?
No, it's perfectly said, Peter. I mean, that's really it. It's a relationship business. This is not a transactional business. So you got to build those relationships. There's nothing more to it. That's it. So it's perfectly said, man. But other than that, if you guys like this type of content, definitely like and subscribe below, or leave a comment. Other than that, thank you guys for joining and have a great day. Bye, Peter.